日本時間4月16日、ドジャースの大谷翔平投手は、本拠地でのメッツ戦に先発登板をしました。この日の大谷投手は、DH では出場せず、2021年以来5年ぶりに投手に専念。ロバーツ監督は試合前に、13日のメッツ戦の初回に右肩後ろにデッドボールを受けたことを指摘していました。肩の後ろ、肩甲骨のあたりにデッドボールを受けたので、まだ少し痛みが残っている。今夜は一つのことに集中させようと考えた。本人に伝えたら完全に理解してくれたよ。と説明しました。大谷投手は5回にメレンデス選手に適時二塁打を浴び、今季初めて自責点を許すも、6回には3者連続、三振を奪うなど、今季初の2桁奪三振をマーク。6回95球を投げ、2安打、2四球、10奪三振、1失点、最速は 100.4 マイル、約 161.6 キロと高騰。規定投球回にも達しました。この日、全米中継スポーツ専門局 ESPN で解説を務めたオーレル・ハーシュハイザー氏は、彼が球種を織り交ぜるのが大好きだよ。土台になるのは速球だが、どの球種の引き金を引くことも恐れない。と称賛しました。試合は、8回に投手に専念した大谷選手に代わって DH で出場したラッシング選手が満塁本塁打を放つなど一発攻勢を見せ8対2でドジャースが勝利しメッツに3連勝。大谷投手は2勝目を挙げました。試合後、メッツのメンドーサ監督、ビシェット選手は大谷選手に脱帽のコメント。また、ドジャースのラッシング捕手、キム選手、ロバーツ監督、さらに ESPN の実況も大谷選手を絶賛するコメントをしていました。ここからはその様子を字幕付きでご紹介します。
Feeling that what gives him the best chance to stay loose during the outing. Feel good, and he got hit on the scapula, the back of the shoulder, a couple days ago, so there's still some soreness in there. So, when he's hitting, there's a component that he's in the cage getting ready to hit, and if we can take that off his plate and just focus on one thing tonight, we felt, training staff, pitching coaches, and myself, we just felt it was the best thing for him. So once I told him, he completely understood.
He's obviously still been throwing the last couple of days. Has he had issues like getting loose again to go hit after throwing in the afternoons? Is that sort of problem with this?
He feels much better today than he did 2 days ago, and he feels better today than he did yesterday. There was some of that early, which is natural, but going into tonight, he feels good.
Last week he talked about being a little fatigued after his start, and said that his mechanics were also off. Is that something you considered as well?
Not really in the sense because if it weren't for the hit by pitch, he would have been DHing and pitching tonight. But I do think that just to be able to pitch and focus on that, I think will be a benefit for the mind and the body. And hopefully, we're just in a little moment of fatigue and we can get past it, which I think that, talking to Thomas today, Shohei came in feeling good, but we're going to keep a watchful eye on him though.
Is this strictly
tomorrow also kind of make that decision, the extra rest?
That was more the decision of pitching them, having that lined up. But again, if he wouldn't have got hit, he would have DH'd today. So I just think in this one game, it just makes most sense to give him the best chance to kind of manage the shoulder and the back.
So just to be clear, you expect him to hit next start?
We do, yes.
Since he started pitching again last year, you've been asked repeatedly about whether or not he should be moved down in the lineup when he pitches. Do you believe this is a lot more beneficial than him hitting second or third in the lineup when he pitches at home?
Well, I think today, specific to today, I think this is the right decision. This is the best decision for him to not hit today. Then the question is, when he does hit on days that he pitches, where's the best for him to hit in the order. I think there's fair arguments to both, to moving him down a little bit, to give him a breather, let him get into the game. But I'm not prepared to make that decision quite yet, but it is something that I'm mindful of it.
So he not gonna hitting it after he finishes pitching. He's not a pinching option.
No. You can tell Carlos Mendoza he's an option.
How receptive was he when you brought this idea to him? Was he surprised you were giving him this idea?
I guess maybe surprised, but was fine with it. Because I've never asked him to pitch and not hit. So I think that, in explaining to him why, I think it makes complete sense.
Don't want to start slow. When you talk about the Mets, you don't want to start slow on a couple of things, a 100-yard dash and a baseball season in New York, and that is what has happened to the Mets. They lost Juan Soto after 8 games. Since then, their offense has really struggled, and it really tells you the importance of Soto in that lineup. You can see just by the numbers. They have a 7-game losing streak. They've only scored 10 runs in those games, and they're facing the great Ohtani.
For the first time, Shohei Ohtani is not your DH. He is pitching. What's your thought process there?
Yeah, you know what? He took a ball off the back of the shoulder, the scapula, the other day, and I think for us, talking to the training staff, Mark Pryor, the pitching coach, just making sure that what's the best way to get him through this start with some soreness is let him just focus on pitching, taking the hitting off the table, and in between innings he'll probably be down below getting it worked on. But yeah, he feels good, and we get Dalton rushing in there to take some at bats.
Doc, thanks.
Thanks, Buster.
Joe, back to you.
All right, Buster, thank you, and thanks to Dave Roberts for stopping by before tonight's game. He gets to hand the ball to Shohei Ohtani tonight. He has yet to give up an earned run. This is start number 3 on the season. The 32-year-old in July, 31 at the moment. Japanese-born right-hander, and you look at the numbers, there are his first 2 starts, just 1 unearned run allowed, and he is taking on a Mets team that's looking for hits, looking for runs, and sitting the kind of guy you want to face when you're looking for hits and looking for runs.
So, Robleski and Yamamoto have shut the Mets down, and now they have to face Ohtani, a 7-pitch pitcher, which is throwing more curveballs and split fingers. So it's going to be a very interesting night for the Mets.
You know what I love about Ohtani? Full windup. We don't see that much anymore. Most guys have a hybrid windup that looks more like pitching from the stretch.
Here's a 1-1. That goes around the strike zone, ball 2.
It's very old school. Takes his head and his body offline and then finds the line over the rubber.
Wow. Do you guys remember Monday? You guys hit me in the scapula, so a little payment due by Ohtani.
And now back into the strike zone, a ball and a strike.
Old school delivery with an old school method.
You think there was something behind that?
No.
Don't start, Ron.
He just
don't
missed.
start.
Well, you haven't done a game in a while. I thought maybe you'd have to.
Let's get a brawl. Here's a breaking ball popped up right side, foul ball. Freeman will watch it become a...
In fact, one of the few people to get a hit off Yamamoto yesterday with a base hit in the 8th inning.
When you don't get to Robleski in game 1 and you got Yamamoto and Ohtani coming, not a good formula for offense.
There's a strike. You said it early in the ballgame, Laurel. There's never been a Japanese-born pitcher to win a Cy Young Award, and Dave Roberts has 2 candidates here in 2026.
And they both want it really bad. The leadoff walk in this inning was Ohtani's first leadoff walk as a Dodger. That's how fundamentally sound he has been from the mound.
That cannot be true.
That's true. Dr. Krajewski has come over from the Dodger broadcast and is helping us out here with ESPN.
Wow. That is first leadoff walk pitching as a Dodger. That is another walk here in the inning.
The other first we mentioned is Ohtani pitching as a Dodger and not hitting. First time ever in a Dodger uniform.
So we don't get the thrill of watching him hit. And by the way, in case anybody's wondering about Ohtani eventually hitting in this game, it will not happen, according to Dave Roberts. He's going to give him the night off. He got hit in the back of the shoulder, his pitching shoulder on Monday. Just going to pitch, no hitting tonight, kind of no matter what. The run that scored here in the 5th inning ends the scoreless streak with regard to earned runs against Ohtani at 33 straight innings. You're safe, Oral. Here's a line drive into left. Hernandez makes the play. He was breathing down your neck. Don't give me that. Don't give me 59 innings, 33 innings. Come on. Pitch number 93 on the night. Strike one on Bichette.
A little bit like Yu Darvish in his prime.
That was more of a challenge for the catcher when there was no pitch count. Is he going to strike out the side here in the 6th? Bichette, big free agent. After the Mets did not land Kyle Tucker, they shifted. Went with Bichette, then he shifted. Now he plays third base. Longtime big league shortstop, second base last year with his bad knee. Ohtani strikes out the side. Dodgers keep rolling. Mets still struggling. And the bottom of the 6th inning at Dodger Stadium rolls in. Ohtani doing his thing. 2-1 LA. Well, this man has been absolutely dominant here tonight. He has rung up 10 strikeouts, just struck out the side here in the 6th inning. Plays this game with such a joy. I think he's a guy, Oral and Ron, that gets the big picture. I remember the last All-Star game I did. I met him for the first time in Colorado, in Denver at the All-Star game. He'd been doing everything for the Angels that entire first half. He said yes to the home run derby. He thought, man, what more does this guy have? And then there he is in the All-Star game pitching and doing his thing. I think he gets the big picture and knows what he is doing. It's never been done. Everybody said, oh, well, it hadn't been done since Babe Ruth. No. Babe Ruth did not do what Ohtani is doing. Here's a shot to right. Back at the wall. It is gone. Alvarez. Teoscar Hernandez has now made it a 3-1 ball game.
So, hey, what was your reaction when Dave said that he wanted you to only pitch today?
ピッチャーだけって言われた時の反応、リアクションは。
ちょっとびっくりはしましたけど、はい、チーム的としてもいい戦略というかじゃないかなとは思うので、もちろんデッドボール当たってピッチングの方に専念してほしいって言われてたので、そこにまず集中しようかなと思ってました。
After getting hit by a pitch, Doc thought that it was a good idea for me and for the team to just focus on the pitching side of the game. And so I was a little bit surprised, but it made sense hearing what he had to say.
How different is it physically going through a game just as a pitcher instead of as a two-way player? That specifically like pitching without hitting.
そうですね。投手だけっていうので何か違いは。
イニング間がなんかこうやっぱ長くは感じるので、変な感じはしましたけど、それでもしっかりとまず集中できてたので良かったかなと思います。
Just in between innings felt a little longer than normal. That was really the only difference that I really felt. Aside from that, I felt pretty good.
What did you do with that time to stay loose? Did you have to do more with your shoulder?
なんか特別なこととかしました。
いつもよりその打者に対しての対策を取る時間は多かったので、そういう意味では有意義な時間が多かったかなと思います。
Yeah, actually had pretty productive time being able to spend time on the game planning side of things. So that felt pretty good.
Your fastball seemed to have a lot of life today. What do you attribute that?
球速も高かったですけど。
そうですね。1点取られた後はちょっと力は入れましたけど、全体的にはリラックスして投げれたので、そこは前回より進歩かなと思います。
It just added a little bit more intensity after they scored a run, but overall it felt really nice and easy and loose throughout the whole outing. So I think that's the reason why I threw a little harder.
So your 4 fastest fastballs came right after they scored that run. Are you usually cognizant going into these starts about maybe saving a little something extra for when you get into trouble?
得点された後に一番速い4球速かったんですけども、そういうのを意識してやってるんですか？
けどもシーズンやっぱり投げる中で全力をこうずっと100球投げるわけにはいかないので、ある程度スコアを見ながら投げないとはいけないですけど、あそこは2、3塁だったので 1本で逆転されるところですし、しっかりとも全力で抑える場面だったのかなと思ってます。
Yeah, I can't, full throttle all the time, but considering the game, where the game was at that point, I felt like, I just really had to go full throttle and make sure that I'm considering about the game situation.
So you said your last start that you felt some fatigue. Do you feel like the way that the Dodgers are using you, their schedule is allowing you to fix that?
前回はちょっと疲労が溜まった感じでしたけども、じゃあそのやり方としてたまらないやり方みたいな。
そうですね。はい。今日そのピッチングだけにしてラッシングが入りましたけど、コロラドの4連戦の前なので、そういう意味でも全体的に疲労をためないようなプランっていうのはチームとしても大事だとは思うので、そこを理解しつつ集中できれば1年間みんなが健康で頑張れるんじゃないかなと思ってます。
Yeah, it makes sense just strategically having these off days right before our series in Denver. So I think that made sense as well. And it's really important for us as a team to be healthy throughout. So that made sense.
Last one, guys.
I know you said it made sense today, but if Doc decides that this is something that he wants to incorporate, would you be okay with that? How do you feel about that?
もし今後こういう感じに監督が取り入れるっていうのを何かオープンですかと。
そうですね。皆さんも見ましたけど、やっぱり素晴らしい DH がもう一人いるので、彼に任せたいなと思ってます。
Yeah, totally. I mean, we have a really good DH hit today, so I'm very open to that.
Shohei's stuff today.
Good as always. He's one of the best.
Surprising is this just, we all see the talent in this room since spring training over the offseason. Just what is the level of surprise that this is happening?
Yeah, it's surprising, but you go through these things. Maybe this is a bit extreme, probably, but it doesn't help. Facing two of the best in the game the last 2 days. You could be swinging the bat well and run into those guys and get kind of like a buzzsaw, but yeah, I don't really got much to say other than can't explain it, and we'll keep on working to figure it out.
When you say you guys are not playing good baseball, what is the most frustrating aspect of that for you?
I just feel like we're not dictating at bats, getting beat by fastballs. Even though there were some good fastballs from Ohtani today, we swung through a lot of them today. So, but in general, I feel like, we got to be able to put pressure. We have to be on the attack mode. And right now, and understanding that it's, when you got guys that are going through, it's contagious, right? But at the same time, nobody's going to feel sorry. We got to be able to dictate at bats.
How do you see challenge of facing Shohei as a pitcher today?
He's a good pitcher. But at the big league level, you're going to be facing the best of the best. So he had a very good fastball today, and we couldn't do anything against him.
What was it like just watching Ohtani pitch tonight and the way he performed?
쇼헤이 선수가 오늘 좋은 투구 내용 보여줬는데 그거 보시면서 어떤 기분이 들었는지 궁금합니다.
워낙에 또 뛰어난 선수이기 때문에 쇼헤이 선수답게 멋진 피칭을 보여준 것 같습니다.
Yeah, he's obviously a great player, and just watching him pitch is a great experience and showed another example of why he's a great player.
Well, Dave, will Shohei be able to win back the DH?
Yes, he will. He'll be in there on Friday, but certainly a really good showing by Dalton in the DH spot. Good for him, and I thought it was a good decision, to have Shohei just focus on pitching and did a heck of a job tonight.
What was it like to watch him just inning to inning, between innings, when he doesn't have to worry about hitting?
It was actually really good to watch, him just focus on one thing, and I thought that just channeling all that energy into pitching was helpful. And the last couple outings, I felt he was fighting himself a little bit at times, but tonight he was really good. And I think even the fifth inning got a little bit kind of wonky a little bit, but he kind of reined it back in and came back out for the sixth and was really good.
You ever see any signs that the shoulder was bothering him?
No, none whatsoever. And even I just talked to the trainer, and he didn't come in for treatment as far as icing it or anything like that, so that was a good sign.
How much do you think Shohei and Yoshinobu might
make each other better this year?
I definitely think they will. You know, iron sharpens iron. You know, we got two great athletes, two great pitchers, and I think it's certainly, I'm not going to say a competition, but I do think that, you know, they both make each other better, yeah.
Sometimes players take a minute to adjust to being in the DH role. Do you think being like a backup pitcher is going to help you manage that more so?
Yeah, I'd almost give props to the player development with this organization. I DH'd a good bit throughout the minor leagues. That was kind of my off day, so to say, when I wasn't catching, and I started to learn a little bit towards the end how to manage that role. It's not an easy role. Seeing Shohei do it every day, I think that's what is so special, and to see his mindset and to see his approach as to how he takes on the DH role, it's arguably harder than playing in the field every inning. You have to fight a mental toll a little bit from pitch to pitch, at bat to at bat. You sit around for 2 or 3 innings sometimes, and that's your time to think on whatever happened that it lasted. But no, I would say I give my props to player development in this organization for giving me that opportunity to obviously DH a good bit throughout the minors. Yeah, it's Shohei. I don't have too much more to say on top of that. I think it was cool to see him basically just put all of his attention into what he's doing on the mound, and not that he wasn't already one of the better pitchers in the big leagues now, but I think he's arguably one of the best now when you give him that opportunity to just solely worry about pitching. Everyone knows what he can do with a bat. Everyone knows what he can do with a baseball. But being able to separate the two sometimes is honestly better for the player.
When you've caught him in the past, like, can you sort of see him like reach to a different gear when he gets runners on base or after he gets up a run, knowing the situation?
Yeah, he's as competitive as they come. It's you take pride as a catcher and a player being a competitor, and to be able to see it physically, emotionally, the way he pitches on the mound, I think it's pretty cool. It's one of those things where it's like, all right, you did this, now watch this, kind of thing. And only the best players in the world can do things like that on a field like this.
How much better do you think he could be as a pitcher if he only focused on that?
Honestly, I don't even want to worry about that, because he's the best player on this earth for a reason, and the biggest reason to that is because he does both so well. So I honestly, in a perfect world, I never want to even have to think about that. But I'll let him know. If he wants to let me take some at-bats in the DH role, I'll take him. No, he's, like I said, I never want to think about that. I want to let him continue to do what he's doing on a baseball field, regardless of whether it's on a mound or in a box. It's fun to watch.
It's obvious who the guy wearing 42 on the mound is, and Shohei Ohtani, a guy you called an all-star game when he was with Anaheim. I believe Stanford Steve was giving me the rundown on that. But to get the full Shohei experience with this Dodger team that is an absolute wagon, Joe, how would you describe all that?
It's unlike anything I've seen, and I've covered this game a long time. I don't know who you would compare this team to right now. They're so far and away the best team in the game. They do everything right. Their manager is outstanding and extremely underrated. He does a terrific job getting this team ready to play. I mean, Ohtani is just lights out on the mound. The guy's a 4-time MVP for what he does with his bat. Nobody's ever done that in the history of this game. They can beat you a lot of different ways. They're good in their bullpen. They play good defense. It just goes on and on and on. It's just a question of who can hang with them, and then when the postseason starts, because the Dodgers will be in the postseason, can anybody beat them in a series? And right now, the way they're playing, the answer would probably be no.
いかがでしたでしょうか。このチャンネルでは日本人メジャーリーガーなどを中心に野球情報をお届けしています。この動画が良かったら高評価、チャンネル登録をよろしくお願いいたします。今回も最後までご覧いただきありがとうございました。それではまた次の動画でお会いしましょう。